The war came fast, like a storm no one saw coming. Daniel had only been on the planet for 2 days. It was supposed to be a peaceful scouting mission, check terrain, scan minerals, report back, nothing dangerous. That's what Command said. But the planet lied. The ground shook that morning. Not because of an explosion, but because something was running. Fast, heavy, alive. Daniel crouched behind a rock and aimed his scanner toward the rust-colored canyon. Heat shimmered off the stone. Wind blew dust into his face. And then he saw her. She wasn't human. Not even close, tall, covered in black fur that glinted in the sun. Her skin underneath was gray like ash. Her sharp golden eyes glowed. 2 wolf-like ears stood tall on her head. She moved like a hunter, graceful, quiet, but strong. Dangerous. She sniffed the air. Her eyes locked onto Daniel. He didn't move. The alien girl walked closer, her bare feet silent on the dry stone. She didn't carry weapons. She didn't need to. Her claws were long. Her muscles were built for killing. Daniel raised his hand, open-palmed, hoping she'd see he wasn't a threat. She stopped 6 feet away. Neither of them spoke. Not with words. Her chest rose with a deep breath. She narrowed her eyes. And then she growled. It wasn't loud, but it was sharp. Like a warning, Daniel took 1 slow step back. Her growl deepened. "Okay," he whispered. "I'm leaving." He didn't turn his back. Not yet. He stepped again, slower this time. She didn't follow. But her eyes didn't leave him. Only when he was 20 feet away did she finally stop growling. Daniel turned and walked. He felt her eyes burning into his back. She didn't chase him, but she didn't go either. She just watched. He made it back to the temporary camp. 2 of his team were already missing. The others didn't answer the radio. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Daniel wasn't a soldier. He was just a field scout. But something about that alien girl's eyes. They weren't full of hate. Not like the others they'd seen in past missions. There was something else. Fear, or maybe pain. That night, he sat by the fire with his small scanner, playing back the image of her. Zooming in, studying her face. She was young, maybe 20, by human guess. Not wild, not broken. But alone. The next day, Daniel went back, not all the way. Just to the edge of the canyon. He didn't expect her to come. But she did. She stepped out from the shadows. Her fur dress shifted with the wind. She stood on a rock above him. Her arms were crossed. Her ears twitched once. But she didn't growl this time. Daniel didn't speak. He placed a small bundle of dried food on the rock and stepped back. She stared at the food, then at him. She didn't move. But she didn't leave. He returned the next day. Left more food. And again the day after that. It became a pattern. She never came close. Never took the food in front of him. But each morning, it was gone. And her tracks, clawed and deep, were fresh. On the 5th night, the wind howled. Daniel woke up to a shadow standing across the fire. The alien girl. She was there, watching him. He didn't move. His breath slowed. She walked closer, her steps silent. He could see her face clearly now. Her eyes weren't angry. They were tired. She looked at him, then at the fire. And then she spoke. One word, in broken English. "Why?" Daniel blinked. "Why? What? Why? Help." He swallowed hard. "Because you didn't kill me." Her ears shifted. She lowered her head. For a moment, she seemed confused. Or unsure. Then she stepped back. She didn't say more. She turned to leave. But just before she vanished into the dark, she growled softly. It wasn't a warning this time. It sounded like a memory. And when Daniel looked up again, she was gone, but not far. She stood on the ridge, her eyes glowing in the night. And she watched, until he lay down again, until he closed his eyes. Until he was out of sight. Daniel didn't sleep much that night. Even after she left, he kept thinking about her voice. One word, one question. Why, help? He had no answer. Not a clear one. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was instinct. Or maybe, deep down, he just didn't want to feel alone anymore. By morning, he made a decision. He packed extra food, water, a small medkit. Then he climbed back toward the canyon, the same path he had walked for days now. The wind was strong. Dust danced across the stones. She was already there, standing beside the same ledge. Still, silent, watching. This time Daniel didn't drop the food and leave. He walked slowly, carefully, and he sat down. Not close, maybe 10 feet away. He placed the food beside him and kept his eyes low. "I won't hurt you," he said softly. "You can come closer if you want." She didn't move at first, but after a while, her ears shifted. She crouched on the rocks, staying quiet, staring at the fire starter in his hand. Her head tilted slightly, curious. Daniel sparked the flint once. A small flame rose from dry twigs. Her eyes reflected the light. Still silent. Still watching. Then she stepped closer. 2 steps only. He pushed the food forward. She crouched down, sniffed the bundle, and grabbed it fast like an animal expecting a trap. But nothing happened. She sat on her heels and ate. No words. Just chewing slowly. Her hands were quick, but neat. Her eyes stayed locked on him. After a few minutes, she spoke again. "Name." Daniel looked up. "What?" She tapped her chest. "Riza." Her voice was rough, deep, like it hadn't been used much. Daniel smiled gently. "I'm Daniel." She said nothing more, just stared. Then pointed to the sky. "Your sky, not mine." Daniel nodded. "Yeah, I came from up there, but I didn't want war." Her ears turned back slightly. A low sound came from her throat, not a growl, not exactly. More like a quiet, sad hum. She stood and turned away, but she didn't leave fast. She walked, slowly, calmly, like she wanted him to follow but couldn't ask. The next morning, she was there again, waiting. This time she had something with her, a small animal, skinned and cleaned. She tossed it near the fire. Daniel blinked. "You brought me food?" She tilted her head. "Trade." He laughed under his breath. "Deal." He cooked it. She sat near him. Not close but not far either. For the first time they didn't feel like enemies. They felt like two people who had somehow survived the same storm. Over the next few days, they built a rhythm. Quiet moments, shared food. Watching the sunset without speaking. She didn't talk much, but she listened. Her ears always twitching at every sound Daniel made. One evening, Daniel showed her a small device. A map of the area, blinking softly. "This shows where the fighting was," he said, pointing at the red dots. "Your people fought here. My team landed here. Something's wrong with this war. We weren't supposed to fight. We came to study the planet. That's all." Reza's eyes narrowed. She pointed to one of the red dots. "No study, no peace. My clan saw fire. Machines, loud, monsters." "You mean the drills?" Daniel muttered. "They thought we were attacking." She growled softly. Not at him but at the memory. Then she looked at the cliffs behind them. Daniel followed her gaze. "What's out there?" She didn't answer, but her shoulders tensed. That night, she didn't stay. She left before the fire burned low. Daniel didn't stop her, but as the wind picked up and the cold returned, he saw her again, high on a ridge, standing still. Watching him, he raised his hand. Just once, she didn't wave back, but she didn't growl either. She just watched and then disappeared into the night. The wind was colder the next morning. Daniel waited by the fire longer than usual. The food was ready. The flames burned steady. But Reza didn't come. He stood, looked toward the cliffs, and listened. Nothing. No steps. No breathing. No growl. He felt something heavy in his chest. Worry, maybe, or fear. He had gotten used to her being near, to her eyes, her silence, her strange kindness. He packed a few things and walked toward the canyon. He followed her tracks from the day before. They led away from their usual spot, deeper into the stone paths, twists and turns. Then the ground changed softer, darker, ash burn marks. He crouched low and touched the black dust. Still warm. Something had happened. In the distance, he heard it. Low growls, sharp barking sounds, and voices he didn't recognize. Not human. Not Riza. He crept closer. Below a sharp ridge, he saw them, 3 alien creatures. Bigger than Riza. Bulkier. Gray like her, but their fur was rough and dirty. One had a large scar across its chest. They circled something lying on the ground. Riza. Daniel's heart jumped. She was hurt. Her side was bleeding. But she still showed her teeth, growling at them, holding a broken branch like a weapon. They laughed. A deep, awful sound. One of them kicked her hard. Daniel clenched his jaw. He had no gun. No real weapon. Just a flare stick. And a sharp tool for cutting roots. He reached for his belt, grabbed both. Then moved. Fast. He ran down the slope, yelling to get their attention. He threw the flare hard. It hit the ground near their feet and exploded in light and smoke. The aliens turned, eyes wide. Riza rolled to the side as Daniel charged. He slashed one across the arm with the tool. It wasn't deep, but enough to make it roar. Then Riza was up, limping but fighting. She jumped onto the smallest one and bit its shoulder, tearing into its fur. Blood sprayed across the rocks. Daniel swung wildly. Another hit. Then claws slashed across his back. He fell. Riza screamed. She slammed her shoulder into the last one and dragged Daniel away, her arms shaking with the effort. He tried to stand, but his legs were weak. They didn't stop to fight. They ran through stone, through wind, through pain. Finally, they found a narrow cave. Dark and hidden. She pulled him inside, breathing hard. Then collapsed beside him. For a while, neither of them spoke. The only sound was their breathing and the quiet beat of their hearts. Daniel reached into his pack, hands shaking, and pulled out the medkit. He patched her wounds first. Then his own blood stained her fur. But she didn't complain. After a long silence, she spoke. They were my clan, once. Daniel looked at her. Why did they attack you? I broke the rule. I came near human. Her voice was low. They hate you, all of you. But you don't, he said softly. She looked at him. Her gold eyes flickered in the dim light. I did. Before I saw you. Daniel nodded slowly. So what happens now? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and gently touched his shoulder. Her claws grazed his jacket, but not to hurt. A quiet moment passed. You saved me, she said. Daniel smiled a little. You saved me first. She looked down, then leaned back against the cave wall, her eyes half closed. He watched her. Even bleeding and tired, she looked strong, wild, brave, and for the first time, she didn't watch him like he was a threat. She watched him like she was trying to understand something. Something new. When he finally lay down to rest, she didn't leave. She stayed beside him. Close. Silent. Watching. Not because she feared him, but because she didn't want him to disappear. Daniel woke up to the sound of breathing beside him. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. Then he opened his eyes. Riza was still there, sitting close, watching him. Her wounds were bandaged, though blood still soaked parts of her black fur dress. The light from the cave's entrance fell across her face, catching the shine of her golden eyes. She didn't speak, but her stare was softer now. Daniel sat up slowly. Are you okay? She gave a small nod, then pointed to his back. You? It stings, he said with a wince. But I'm alive. Riza looked down for a second, then reached into a small pouch hanging from her side. She pulled out a folded leaf with thick blue paste inside. "Plant, good for pain," she said. Daniel let her press it to his wound. Her hands were strong but careful. He smiled. "Thanks." "You fight bad," she muttered. He laughed. "Yeah, I know." That made her lips twitch, slightly, almost a smile. They stayed in the cave for most of the day, resting, quiet, listening to the outside world. But no one followed them. No footsteps. No growls. It was safe, for now. By evening, Daniel finally spoke again. "Why do they hate humans so much?" Riza's voice was low. "Long ago, another ship came. Not like yours. Loud. Burning. Took land. Took trees. Took people." Daniel's chest tightened. "That wasn't us," she nodded slowly. "But it was human. To my clan, all humans are the same. But you know I'm not." She didn't answer at first. Then said, "You listen. You feed, you protect. That is not what monsters do." Daniel looked at her. "And you? You could have killed me on the first day." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "I almost did, but you didn't. I saw your eyes. You were afraid, but not angry, not cruel." She paused. "So I watched. I waited. Why? To see if you would become like them." Her voice dropped. "But you didn't." Daniel leaned back against the wall. "So what happens now?" She looked at the fire. "If we go back to the canyon, they'll kill us, both. Then we find somewhere else," he said. "A new place." Her ears turned. "Together?" "If you want." Another long silence. Then slowly she nodded. That night, they left the cave. Quietly, carefully, moving under stars. The desert felt different, now not empty, but alive. They walked side by side. No one chased them. No one spoke. But every time Daniel looked to his left, Riza was there, her steps steady, her gaze forward. By morning, they reached high ground. The sun rose behind the rocks, casting golden light across the valley. Daniel stopped and looked out across the horizon. There was a small river in the distance, trees, maybe shelter. "We could go there," he said. Riza stared quietly. "Far from clan, far from war." "Exactly." They moved again. Later that day, as they rested beneath a rocky ledge, Riza pulled something from under her fur, a small carved stone. She handed it to Daniel. He held it up. It was shaped like an eye. "What is it?" she answered softly. "Mark of the Watched." Daniel blinked. "What does that mean?" She met his eyes. "My people give this to someone they choose to protect." Daniel stared at the stone. "You're protecting me?" She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. He placed the stone around his neck. "Then I'll protect you too," he said. The wind picked up again, but it didn't feel cold this time. It felt like the start of something different. And this time, when Riza watched him, she didn't look ready to growl. She looked ready to stay. The river was closer than it looked. It took them 2 days to reach it, walking carefully through open land. They stayed low during the day, moving fast at night. Riza's ears caught every sound. Daniel trusted her steps more than his map. The valley was green and quiet. The river ran between thick trees and tall grass. No signs of battle. No machines. No patrols. It was the first peaceful place they had found. Daniel dropped his bag under a tree and sat down. This could work. Riza looked around, sniffed the air, then nodded. No scent of clan, no metal. They spent the day gathering dry wood. Riza caught a small animal for food. Daniel cleared space for shelter. They didn't talk much, but they worked as one. That night, they built a small fire by the river. For the first time, they didn't feel like two enemies hiding. They felt like something else. Like a pair. After dinner, Daniel sat beside the fire. Riza stood nearby, her arms crossed, looking at the stars. The flames lit her fur, giving it a warm glow. "You ever think about leaving this planet?" Daniel asked softly. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Once. Why didn't you? My kind is not wanted elsewhere. We are seen as beasts." "You're not a beast," Daniel said. She looked at him. Her eyes were serious. "Then what am I?" "You're brave," he said. "You're sharp. You're loyal. You've saved me more than once." Her ears twitched. She walked over and sat down beside him. "Human," she said quietly. "You speak strange." He chuckled. "I get that a lot." They watched the fire together. Then her voice turned low. "They will come," Daniel turned. "Your clan?" She nodded slowly. "If they track me, they will follow. They hate those who leave." Daniel's hand tightened. "Then we'll fight." Riza stared into the flames. "They are many." "I don't care." She turned her head. "Why?" "Because I won't leave you," Daniel said. "Not after all this." Her breathing slowed. She leaned forward slightly, her shoulder brushing his. "Then I won't leave either." They sat like that for a while, side by side, silent, watching the fire. But the peace didn't last out the next day. Riza froze while drinking from the river. Her eyes narrowed. She sniffed the air. Daniel stepped toward her. "What is it?" she growled, very softly. "They are close." They moved fast. No fire that night. No talking. Just silent steps through brush and rock, listening. And then they saw it, marks on the trees. Deep claw signs, fresh. Riza growled again. "Hunters." 4, maybe 5. Daniel's hand found the sharp tool on his belt. "Then we need to leave now." "No," she said. "They're fast. They'll smell us." "Then what?" She pointed to a nearby ridge. "High ground. We trap them." Daniel followed her plan. They set sharp stones in the narrow path and cleared a spot where they could see from above. When night came, the silence broke. A howl echoed across the valley. Then another. Daniel's heart pounded. Riza stood beside him. She didn't shake, she didn't hide, but her eyes looked sad. "They were my brothers," she said. "Now they will kill me." Daniel stepped closer. "Not if we stop them first." She turned to face him. Slowly she reached out and placed her hand on his chest. "I never thought I'd die beside a human." "You're not dying tonight," he said. She stared at him. Then she said, almost in a whisper, "Then don't let go." And he didn't. As the growls came closer, Daniel held her hand. The war was coming again, but this time, he wasn't alone. And neither was she. The night was quiet, but full of danger. Daniel crouched beside Riza, watching the shadows move through the trees. The hunters were close. Their growls echoed through the canyon like thunder. 4 of them, claws, fangs, rage. They were not here to talk. Riza pointed toward the trail below. "They follow scent. Always the strongest first." Daniel nodded. His heart beat fast, but his hands were steady. He looked at Riza. "We end it here." They moved as one. Riza took the left ridge. Daniel moved right. Below them, the first hunter stepped onto the narrow path. Riza gave a sharp whistle. The hunter looked up too late. She kicked a stone loose. It crashed down, hitting the path. The second and third hunters leapt back. The first one fell, tumbling into the rocks. The others roared. Daniel shouted, "Now!" He lit a flare and threw it hard. The bright light flashed. The hunters hissed and covered their eyes. Riza jumped down like a shadow. She tackled one from behind. Her claws ripped through its shoulder. Daniel rushed in, swinging a sharp tool. The second hunter dodged, but not fast enough. The fight was wild. Claws against blades, fangs against fists. Riza moved like a storm, fast, deadly, focused. Daniel fought beside her. Not as strong, not as fast, but never backing down. One hunter went down. Then another, but the last one, tall and scarred, grabbed Riza and threw her hard into a stone wall. She cried out. Blood ran down her arm. Daniel didn't think. He ran straight at the beast. The hunter slashed, caught his side. Daniel slammed into him full force, sending them both crashing down the slope. Pain exploded through Daniel's ribs. The world spun. Then silence. When he opened his eyes, Riza was standing over him. Her body was shaking. Her claws were dripping. The final hunter lay still behind her. She knelt beside Daniel and touched his chest. "You're hurt." Daniel tried to smile. "So are you." She helped him sit up. The wind was cold, but her body was warm next to his. They sat like that for a long time. No more growls. No more footsteps. Just the sound of wind in the grass. Riza looked at the stars. They won't come again. The others will smell the blood. They'll stay away. Daniel looked at her. Then it's over. She nodded. They stood slowly and walked back to the river. Their small shelter was still there. The fire was gone, but the ground was safe. Daniel sat down and leaned against a tree. Riza sat beside him. Quiet. Close. "You don't have to stay," he whispered. "You could go far now, start over." She looked at him. "I already did." He turned to her. She touched the stone pendant around his neck, the one she had given him. "In my clan," she said softly, "when a watcher chooses, she never leaves." Daniel's eyes softened. "And you've chosen?" "I chose," she said, "even when I told you to go. I never stopped watching." He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. They sat there, side by side, watching the sunrise, not as enemies, not as strangers, but as something new. She had growled at him to leave. But now she stayed, and she watched him, not because he was a threat, but because he was hers.